You know, some stories are just so wild, they sound like they're made up. Well, today we're diving into one of those. It's the absolutely incredible, almost unbelievable life of a guy named Bartolo Longo. And let me tell you, his journey went from the absolute darkest depths you can imagine, all the way to the highest honors of his faith.
So picture this. On one hand, you have a satanic priest, a guy who publicly mocked Christianity. And on the other hand, a beatified figure in the Catholic Church, literally one step away from becoming a saint. Now here's the kicker. Believe it or not, we are talking about the same guy. So, you gotta ask, right? How on earth does a man become both? How does a life swing so wildly from one extreme to the complete opposite?
Okay, so to understand this, we've got to go back to the beginning. And interestingly enough, his story doesn't start in darkness at all. It starts in the light. But then, oh boy, it takes a sharp, dramatic turn. So Bartolo Longo, he's born back in 1841. And his family? Super devout Catholics in Italy. Wealthy too. They prayed the Rosary together every single day. But then he goes off to study law at the University of Naples. And everything changes. You have to remember what was happening at the time. This was the era of Italian unification, right? And the nationalist movement saw a ton of land as this huge obstacle to creating a modern, united Italy. So there was this really strong anti-church vibe, especially on college campuses. And Bartolo? He didn't just kind of drift away from his faith. No, he sprinted in the other direction. He actually joins a satanic cult and gets himself ordained as a satanic priest. And look, he wasn't shy about it either. He made it his personal mission to go out and publicly ridicule Christianity. He was actively convincing other Catholics to leave the church and join him in these occult rites. So let's be super clear here. He wasn't just passively disagreeing. He was a dedicated, active enemy of the very faith he grew up in. But, as you can probably guess, this path took a massive toll on him. His life just spiraled into this nightmare of torment. We're talking extreme depression, paranoia, constant nervousness, and confusion. He was haunted by these awful, diabolical visions. His health completely fell apart, and it all ended in a total mental breakdown.
So, he's at rock bottom. The absolute lowest point you can be, just teetering on the edge of, well, oblivion. And that's when a lifeline appears. This, right here, is the turning point of his entire story.
Completely desperate, Bartolo finally reaches out to an old friend from university, a guy named Vincenzo Pepe. And this friend introduces him to a Dominican priest, Father Alberto Redente. That connection, that was the first step out of the darkness for him. Father Alberto actually listened to his confession and started, slowly but surely, to guide him back to the very faith he had fought so hard against. And, hearing it from him directly is just, wow, it makes it so much more real. He wrote about this time later in his life, saying, and I quote, "As I pondered my condition, I experienced a deep sense of despair and almost committed suicide." So you see, this wasn't just some crisis of faith. This was a man on the brink of ending his own life. And then comes this moment. He's walking one evening through the ruins, this desolate valley of ancient Pompei, and he has this profound, mystical experience. He hears a voice, clear as day, echoing in his mind. It's repeating something Father Alberto had told him. If you seek salvation, promulgate the Rosary. This is Mary's own promise. Right then and there, in that moment, everything clicked. He found his new purpose. He literally made a vow that he would not leave that valley until he had spread devotion to the Rosary. And this promise, it wasn't just some personal, quiet thing. Oh no. It became a mission that would literally transform an entire city and, well, countless lives. So Bartolo just dives headfirst into this new calling. He joins a local charity, and he teams up with this wealthy widow, Countess Mariana di Fusco, who he eventually marries, by the way. Together they start a confraternity of the Rosary. But to do that, they needed something for people to focus on during their prayers. They needed an image, a painting of the Virgin Mary. And the painting they found was, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly a masterpiece. Bartolo's own description is so brutally honest, it's actually pretty funny. He said the painting was worm-eaten, it was cracked, the figures were just awful. He wrote that Mary looked like a coarse, rough countrywoman, and that St. Dominic, who was also in the painting, looked like a street idiot. Can you imagine? He almost turned it down flat.
So check out the journey of this painting. It's just unbelievable. Step 1. It's found in a Neapolitan junk shop. Step 2. It's delivered to Pompei on a manure cart. Seriously. Step 3. They do some quick patch-up work and install it in this tiny, rundown church. And then, step 4, something absolutely incredible happens. Within hours of this thing being put on display, people started reporting miracles.
But that miraculous painting, that was just the start. Bartolo's work was about to explode into a legacy that would earn him worldwide recognition and literally bring a dead city back to life. His mission just kept growing, way beyond the church walls. He and his wife, they founded homes for orphans. They started schools for the children of prisoners. He published writings to get the word out about the Rosary. And he was constantly sharing his own story, especially to young people, to warn them about the real dangers of getting involved in occultism. I mean, his work was so huge, so impactful, that he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, not once, but twice, in 1902 and 1903. That's just wild. Eventually, the church itself officially recognized his incredible turnaround. On October 26, 1980, Pope John Paul II beatified him and gave him the title Apostle of the Rosary. Now, beatification is a massive step. It's when the church declares someone blessed, and it's basically the last stop before they can be officially named a saint, which is called canonization.
And his impact? It's still being felt today, big time. That basilica he built from the ground up in Pompei, the one centered around that janky painting he found, it now attracts about 3 million pilgrims every single year.
You know, Bartolo totally saw the connection between his own story and the city he was rebuilding. He wrote, "Next to a land of dead, appeared, quite suddenly, a land of resurrection and life." He called his project the New Pompei. It was this place of life rising right up from the ancient ruins, a perfect mirror for how his own new life had risen from the ruins of his past.
So that brings us all the way back to that first question we asked, but maybe with a bit of a new perspective now. The journey of Bartolo Longo, from a satanic priest to the blessed apostle of the Rosary, it has to be one of the most extreme transformations you can even imagine. And it really leaves you with a powerful question to chew on. Can any life, no matter how broken or how far gone it seems, truly be beyond redemption?
Bartolo Longo, a former Satanist priest whose remarkable conversion led him to create a shrine to Our Lady of the Rosary and spread devotion to the prayer, was canonized by Pope Leo XIV on October 19, 2025. Saint Bartolo Longo's canonization reminds the faithful that no sinner is beyond redemption. His journey embodies the hope offered to every soul who turns back to God. As Pope Leo XIV's words echoed through St. Peter's Square, the Church rejoiced that the man who once served Satan now stands among the saints.